when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, am I following a trend or does this really bother me?
No, it's never been the right time. Like we're holding back the storyline. And I'm waiting at the end of the night, thinking of you.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Call Your Mom podcast. Has body image affected you, specifically with plastic surgery? It's more common than ever, and we're going to talk about it. But first, we got a video that we're going to react to, and we'll dive right into the episode.
It's called like Instagram face. How all of these women's faces look exactly the same because of like filters and fillers, injections. And the whole point that she makes in the video, which is really fascinating, is you get like positive reinforcement when you have the big lips and the big eyes. So now that you're getting these dopamine hits of like these perfect faces, it's skewing how you see your own. And basically we're now kind of morphing into kind of all like looking the same.
So that's a great post because it's true. Like, it's weird how it's changing the population as opposed to moving back to loving the individual beauty of a situation or a person or nuance. Like, nuance is the next N word. I think there's going to be a hot trend towards more individual and unique looking people. I think we've saturated the let's look the same.
I think the core piece to this is there's been a push to, I can't talk about getting things done because it needs to be natural. And that all of these faces popping up, it shows you that it's doing a lot of damage to young girls because they think that these big eyes and these big lips and these tiny waists and like it's all real and that they can't achieve it. And then they're all secretly getting injected younger and younger because like they feel self-conscious that they don't have it. So I think it's more that coming out that that's not natural is important.
Every week unfollow people, and for every 5 you unfollow, add one person who makes you a better human, not somebody who's just distracted by tabloids.
Instagram face. Let's talk about it. Mom, I want to start with your thoughts because you grew up around magazines and the internet wasn't as powerful as I would say it is today. So I want to hear what your thoughts are on this idea of everyone looking the same.
You know, I grew up in an era where cosmetic surgery, getting fillers, Botox, all those things, I don't even know if fillers were around, to be honest. But I did grow up in an era where it wasn't as accessible. And it was mostly people that, you know, were celebrities or the super wealthy. Those were the only people really getting anything done, right? And you really only heard about like plastic surgery. And I think that it wasn't as prevalent and it wasn't as common. And there was more diversity in how everybody looked. And so I think now we have this bombardment of social media showing us this Instagram face basically and showing us the same type of look over and over and over again. So we're starting to believe that that's kind of the standard of beauty. And I grew up with magazines and TV, and yeah, there might have been a standard of beauty maybe as far as like being ultra thin or having a really curvy body or whatever it was that was trending at the time. But there wasn't this like similarity of look between women's faces constantly, where there was a certain standard that was set because of fillers, Botox, and also filters from, Instagram.
So funny because I feel like they all look like a Bratz doll.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'll put a comparison here. But they really do kind of look like Bratz dolls. I've always kind of said that. And you know what's funny? Growing up, you and Dad didn't like the Bratz dolls. You're like, you can play with the Barbie, but you're not playing with the Bratz doll. Which is so funny because when I was younger, like you think about Barbie did like everything. And then the Bratz girls were like really into fashion and makeup more. And like, I don't know if anyone else my age has felt this way, but like it didn't really I didn't think of Barbie as like a standard of beauty of some sort, if that makes sense. But it kind of came around, I think, like with the Kardashians. I think they were a huge standard of beauty, and that look kind of came around. And then the filters after that came, and they were meant to look kind of like them.
Mhm.
And it was like this smooth face, big lips, like really big eyes. And they were like not just doe eyes, they were like the siren eyes as well. So it really is the standard and like a beauty trend now. I would say that everyone is getting more and more fillers. And I wanted to bring up the stats because you said, I don't know when they were, you know, invented or brought around. So,
Yeah.
Botox was first medically used in 1977 for spasms and crossed eyes. It wasn't introduced for cosmetic approval until 2002 by the FDA. Mainstream popularity did not happen until the early to mid 2000s. For derma fillers, the first use of a hyaluronic acid filler was approved by the FDA in 2003 and did not become popular until the mid to late 2000s,
Mm.
which I thought was really interesting because that kind of goes along with what I was saying, right? Because I was a little girl like 2010, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that idea of filler started to come out and Botox was more commonly used. Like this was really, I mean, this isn't really that far ago or
Yeah.
far long ago. It was the two like 20 years ago, which is
Mhm.
crazy to think about.
Yeah. So I was in my 20s. I think that's probably why I didn't really know about it, but also it just wasn't prevalently talked about on, social media like it is now. Social media was kind of just starting to come out and be it was newer, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people also I don't think we're as comfortable talking about getting treatments maybe. I think that, there was a stigma behind it where now it's just totally normal. And I also was really young and there wasn't that pressure to change how I looked. You know what I mean? So that wasn't there when I was in my 20s. At least it was a little bit, I don't want to lie, of course, like, but there wasn't this like, you know, I guess trend and pressure to, inject my lips and get this and do that, to totally change my face so that I could look like somebody else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big thing today. I
Yeah.
feel the need to change the way that you look is really huge, especially like the lips and, the stricter jawline, or not stricter, I guess, but like sharper jawlines is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, having certain bone structure and what does the perfect face look like. And I think it is, if you like the video, I think it is kind of forgetting the whole like beauty that is in different people and that we are all different
Mm-hmm.
humans and we all have unique features. And now it doesn't matter, who you are. We're all kind of looking the same, and social media does have a huge impact
Yeah,
on that completely.
totally. Do you think for you, because you were saying, you were younger when all this started and stuff, but I feel like your generation was the kind of the beginning when social media started to skyrocket, right? So, do you think that that's played a role in how you feel about how you look as a woman? Like,
Oh, 100%.
mhm,
I would say growing up, I would always be told, like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, you're this, you should be a model. That was a very common thing that I got. Not to like say that I'm like a certain standard of beauty, okay? But that's what I got. Mom, you got that a lot for me, even with Stevie, too. Like you
mhm,
get stopped for us and be like, they should be in, commercials or whatever. It's because my mom's pretty.
thanks.
But then as you grew up, I started to get insecure about myself because it did feel like there was a certain beauty standard, especially when it comes to like your waist or, your boobs, or, you start to notice things and get uncomfortable about yourself as you get older. And so I think that was big for me. It wasn't so much like the way I looked on my face, if that makes sense. But I would say my body image of wanting like a smaller waist or, not bigger boobs. I always had big boobs. So that was never a
You're
thing that
welcome.
I wanted or cared. Maybe smaller boobs. But like I would say like, oh, my legs looking a certain way or my waist looking a certain way. And then a big one for me actually on my face would be my cheeks. I've always had fuller cheeks and I would always joke saying I want woman cheeks. But I just have this like round face I got from my father. And I didn't get my mom's beautiful woman cheeks. And so I always was super insecure about it. And I still am to this day where I like I was just talking about it before we hopped on this podcast, which made us choose to talk about plastic surgery, was like, oh, I just like my cheeks, mom. They're annoying me, And which is so funny because if you ask John about his favorite features on me, he's going to say my cheeks and he's not talking about my butt cheeks. He's talking about my cheeks and he just loves them. That's his favorite thing about me. And so I'm like looking at him like, you could choose anything else. But I truly believe that's also what makes me unique at the same time. So, and it'll keep me looking young for a long
Yeah. Oh, yes. Collagen, baby. Collagen.
time. But absolutely in that long answer, yeah, social media has 100% affected me.
Yeah.
Especially because like being skinny came back around
Oh,
and that was like it's very hard to not compare yourself and like my face structure doesn't look a certain way or my jawline doesn't look a certain way or my arms don't look a certain way. Like it's really hard not to beat yourself up with all of it.
yeah. I feel ultra thin has definitely made its way back around. And, you know, I think that that's really, really hard, especially on young women, because when you head into your 20s, no one really tells you, you know, your body's going to change a lot. And then you're going to head into your 30s and it's going to change a lot again. And I don't think there's like any way to really prepare you for that. But with all the stuff going on with social media, you've got these ultra thin women on there. And it's so hard, especially if you're a woman who's, going to have a baby or, you just had a baby or, maybe your body's just changed because our bodies go up and down, right? In weight and in the way they change, like I said. And so we have curves and, we get cellulite or whatever. And so then we're constantly being fed these images of ultra thin women. And it's very hard to not look at yourself in the mirror and compare and think, well, that's what's trending. That's what I need to be. And a lot of times it's just not even attainable. It's not even realistic for many women's body types. It's not even healthy. So I think social media plays a huge role in that. And I think it makes it really difficult for women to truly just look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful. I'm going to work with what I got. And I'm going to love what I got. You know what I mean? And I think it makes it really hard, especially with like AI now. Oh my gosh. I just saw an AI woman and I was like, there's no way to even compare with AI. It's not even real. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. But yeah.
Well, I got some crazy statistics.
Okay.
Okay, so overall,
Mhm.
about 24% of all Americans report that they've had some kind of cosmetic procedure, with that rate rising to 40% among adults with household incomes above 150K.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
And then in 2019, there was nearly 7.7 million Botox injections administered in the US.
Holy moly. I bet
That
you
was
it's
an 878% increase since 2000.
yeah, that's insane. Wow, that's wild. Which it's probably even more now if you really think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably increased a lot now. So,
So this 2019 in 2019, US women underwent approximately 1.5 million surgical procedures for like plastic surgery,
Mhm.
and 13.4 million went under non-surgical treatment. So probably like filler or Botox.
Mhm.
That is a crazy amount of women.
Yeah. And listen, I honestly, I don't even think there's anything wrong with it. I get Botox. I'm 46 and I think it's great. I think it helps with preventative, and I feel better. But I think there's a fine line when we're trying to change completely how we look because we want to look like someone on the internet. We have to be so careful that we're not trying to change ourselves because of how we feel on the inside. And we think that, completely overhauling how we look on the outside is going to change how we feel on the inside. Sometimes you got to fix what's going on in the inside and then make a decision to change kind of what's going on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
100%.
I just wonder how many young girls, I know I see a lot of really young girls, injecting their lips and changing their faces. And actually, the other night I was scrolling and I was looking at this one esthetician or whatever. I was on her page just looking at what she does, and she was doing lip injections. And these girls were so young; they were probably younger than you. And
Yeah.
all I was thinking is like, where does that go when
Well,
it's done?
they don't know, like, it does move, and they don't really know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I had a plastic surgeon tell me that. I was talking to him and he said, with how much filler we're putting in women's faces all the time, we really don't know the impact in like 25 years from now. We'll find out. And I was like,
Well,
that's
it's so
kind of weird.
new, look at the stats we started with.
Yeah.
It's
So,
so new, we don't really know,
mhm.
I don't think they would know anything about it. It probably is just starting to get out, like,
Yeah.
remember, there was a I wish I had it for us, maybe I could pull it up,
Mhm.
but the CT scan, I think it was, of the face or X-ray of the filler in the face
Oh, yeah. You
over
sent me
years
that.
and how they discovered that basically it never disappears.
Mhm. There's
So and it moves and then it could grow.
Oh, I didn't know that part. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I could
Yeah.
be wrong, but I will
Yeah.
insert it here for everyone to see, the photo, but it was kind of crazy to think about and look at because it does make you wanna be careful before doing something and to really make sure that it aligns with what you want in your life, because I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting Botox, filler, whatever you would like to do, or even a plastic surgery, get your boobs done, you know, have a tummy tuck, whatever you need to do, liposuction. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure that you're doing it for the reasons that are like for you, that are right, that
Yeah.
like feel good for you and your life. Because, you know, there's so many reasons why people get any of this. I
Yeah.
mean, we could go, there's a whole list. So,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I feel like when I was scrolling and looking at like the women with the bigger lips and stuff like that, does it ever I know for me, sometimes it makes me look in the mirror. I mean, I'm 46, people. I'm heading into the 50s someday. And it's sometimes like I'll look at like my lips and they have a little less volume than when I was younger. And so sometimes I do get caught up in thinking like, I wonder what I'd look like, or you know what I mean? So I'm wondering, as a younger woman, does and I know we've talked about it, but like, have you ever thought like, I wonder if I should just plump them up a little, or if I should do, does seeing that same look affect you? I mean, how does it affect you personally? Because I mean, it's pretty prominent where we live in Orange County. I mean, let's be real.
well, yeah. And right now, well, I'm not in Orange County right now, but I'm
Oh, yeah.
watching Love Island right now. This is my first season watching it. And
Yeah.
a lot of the girls have like lip filler, but
Mhm.
I've never wanted lip filler. I just think it looks like every time I'm watching these girls, it bothers me actually. Like I hate their lips.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, they look like ducks. And I just don't
Mhm.
like it. And I think it's such a short trend that's gonna go away after a couple years.
Mhm.
So just to fill your lips like more just sounds horrible to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
like there was someone, I think it was Alex Earl. She was like, she got her eyebrows thinned. She posted it on Instagram. And I was like, that's an example of trends that are going to come around and go. And so don't just hop on a trend because it will come and go. And I don't know. I've always been someone who's pretty like, I would say the one thing I've ever just really have wanted that changes my perspective would be more than even my cheeks would be jawline. Like if that was going to ever be something that's like, oh, as a young woman seeing other people and what they do to their faces would be the jawline aspect. I would love to have like a super sharp jawline, but that also like I know with age, right? Like I think about if I were to go get that done, I know with age that area tends to get thinner. It tends to get like, you know, less collagen there, and I would hate to get that done to remove all of it to then like 20 years from now I need something else because I
Yeah.
took out all of what I had. So
Yeah.
I'm like, is it really that bad or do I just need to lose a little bit of weight?
Yeah.
So like these are questions that I'll have with myself that I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But like I get Botox. So
Mhm.
like I liked, I got the eyebrow lift this last time I got Botox. Like I had like what I think it's 4 units on each side. I forgot on my eyebrow right here.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, love that. So I really think you just have to take into account when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Am I following a trend or does this really bother me?
I love that. I like that's like mic drop. I love that.
Thanks.
And when you were talking about like your face again, women in your 20s, women in your 30s, I cannot tell you how much your face changes. Like your whole body, everything about you just changes. And so if you can me personally, I kind of err on the side of like if you can hold off as much as possible, it's probably better. And I mean, look at Grandma Rose. You know what I mean? Like she's
Mhm.
always like, "Hold off." I just feel like less is more sometimes because when you get older, you change so much and no one prepares you for that. So I think that that's such an important message if I could just share that with young women, like you're beautiful, your youth, your skin, oh, you're the plumpest you'll ever be like, you know, and you don't realize that after having kids and things like that, like so much of you changes. And so I think it's so important to take that into account as well,
Yes.
you know.
And I've seen girls who like got like boob jobs, with before
Yes.
they got kids or
Mhm.
whatever. And I think there's like no issue with that. Like if that's
No.
what you wanted to do, that's what you want to do. And they were like A cups and they were like,
Yeah.
I want B cups or C cups or even D cups, whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
girl.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Just when it comes to like the face stuff, I think that's where the most cautious I am just
Yes.
because you don't really know like
Yeah.
like what's gonna happen and
Mhm.
you don't want to lose collagen and all that fun stuff. And again, it is like a lot of it's trends.
Yeah.
Like, are thin eyebrows going to come back? We
Yeah.
don't know. Look
Oh,
at
I
how
hope
much has come back just in general, like in the last like 5 or 6 years.
yeah. I just hope thin eyebrows don't come back. I did it, and mama is happy her eyebrows grew back because it was not cute. It wasn't cute. I didn't
I
like it
just never
on
touched
me.
my eyebrows. My
Yeah.
mom scarred me when I was little and I never touched them again.
Oh my gosh, you're so just bitter about that.
At
Just
like
kidding.
12, she took me to get my eyebrows threaded.
Yes. Not 12. You were like 13, but
I was
yeah.
probably like 13.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was so painful. I cried the whole time
She's like, "Never again."
and I never did it again. To this day, I'm 20, 15 years later, and I've never gotten my eyebrows done ever again. Ever and never. That's actually funny to think about.
That is so funny.
I'll just
Well,
pluck them and I've never had to like
look at all the money I saved you.
I guess so. I have pretty good eyebrows though. I've never had to ever touch them.
That's so funny.
Maybe because I didn't touch them. That's why.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. But that is like I never did it again. Okay. So when you think about plastic surgery and changing yourself and it's not just cosmetic procedures as well.
Yeah.
There's like this self-love argument I think that a lot of people kind of play into
Mhm,
and say like you got to love yourself no matter what and like da da da
mhm.
and honestly I think you can still if you're gonna ask me, I think you could still change the way you like look because I don't think it's that dramatic of a difference sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a nose job and still love who you are. But that's my opinion because I think there's a lot more to self love than just what's on the outside.
Mhm.
I think there's also admiring what is on the inside.
Mhm.
And so, if you're going to ask me my opinion on this, I think it's just about empowering yourself if you feel like you need to make a change. I think it's about empowering, giving yourself more confidence. People go and dye their hair and cut it all the time. Why can't you get a little nipped there and a nipped that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I think I think it's strange that there's like a stigma. Like I have friends that get Botox and they like don't want to tell people. They're like, "Don't tell anybody." And
Yeah, I think that's weird.
I'm like, "Why?" Like who cares? You know what I mean? I tell people what I've had done. I don't care because I feel like I did it for me. It makes me happy and if I'm going to empower somebody else, maybe they are thinking about it and they want to take the leap, like go for it, improve
Yeah.
yourself. I'm 100% on board with it like you are. I just feel like you have to make sure that you're doing whatever you're doing to change on the outside to align with what's going on the inside.
A
So
100%.
like if you're doing it because you think you're going to get your ex-boyfriend back, girl, don't do it. Just let him go and move on.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
he didn't love you before, then
Yeah.
don't do it for someone else. I think that's one of
Yeah.
the most important things to say.
Mhm.
Don't change how you look for someone else.
Yeah. Totally. Because there's someone out there that will love you just as you are for who you are. And, what you're doing it for is for yourself to have more confidence and to walk with that confidence in who you are. That's what it's for. It's for you to feel so good that, you're walking around with that glow.
100%. I think too, we forget when we're young that you do get old
Mhm.
and you do get wrinkly. And if you sign up to marry someone, the chances of you going all the way are, you want that, right? You signed up for their old, wrinkly butt.
Mhm.
I signed up for that one day with Johnny. So I think if they didn't love you at your prime and they want you to change all these things about you, like,
Mhm. I
and the
agree.
other thing too, actually, this is really funny. This is going to be a bad comment, but it's going to be a comment. So
Okay.
I'm here for
I'm
the
here
humor.
I'm here for it.
I think it's funny sometimes that there are men out there that tell their women that they need to change something about themselves. If your man is telling you to go get a boob job, then Mr. Bob, I don't know if his name is Bob, needs to not say that and needs to take a look in the mirror because 90% chance he doesn't have a six pack. Okay.
Mhm.
Or he has a lazy eye or his teeth aren't straight or his hairline is sideways. So you know what? F him and you need to find someone else.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. But
I'm
I'm
serious.
100% on board. Don't let the door
Yes.
hit you where the good Lord split you. You can
Do
like
not allow a man to tell you. I've been in a relationship where
Mhm.
and I have big boobs, people. Okay. They have gotten a little bigger over time.
Mhm.
But when I was younger, when I was, I think, 18 or whatever, I don't remember the age, I was dating a man, a boy, let's be real, who was like, I really like big boobs. Well, I was a 32 double D. Okay. I'm now a 32 triple D. But at the time, those are still big knockers. And this man had the audacity to keep on telling me that I needed bigger boobs just so that he could show it off to his friends, like, when you hang out with people. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, I'm sorry, you are how old? And you don't even have a six pack. You have a little pot belly and look like string beans. So you know what? Until you start hitting the gym and become looking like Hercules, I am not going to go under plastic surgery to change my knockers.
That's right. Exactly.
And I left that person clearly. So,
Yep.
oh my god, that's so funny saying that out loud.
I love
But
that.
that's the truth. Like, That is ridiculous. That's like
Yeah.
mind blowing that someone would tell you that. So someone is
Yeah.
telling you that, you need to leave that person.
Yeah. And or even if you're not with them and you have someone commenting on your page about it or whatever, about how you look. I know there's a lot of people that feel the freedom to
Block.
comment about people's looks without,
Yeah.
actually knowing them. Ignore them. They don't
Yep.
contribute to their life and they probably aren't, don't have their
Nope.
six pack or whatever, just like you said. And I think a lot of times, people feel so free about saying something about someone else's body and they don't really look in the mirror and, say that to themselves. So,
The audacity.
yeah,
The
the
audacity.
audacity. Exactly. That meme I
So,
sent you.
yes.
Yes.
So the truth is here. If you want to get plastic surgery, you want to get a procedure, all you have to do is think about, is this something that is going to improve my self-esteem? Am I doing it for the right reasons?
Yes.
Because it's so important that you ask those questions and don't allow Bob or whoever to tell you what you need done. And remember that what matters truly is what's on the inside and how you impact and treat and how you live your life in the
Yeah.
end. Because
Yep.
every single person you look at, like your friends, everyone, and we all pray, right, that we all can get to old age, but we're all going to get stretch marks. We're all going to get wrinkly. And that is the beauty about getting older, is that we got older, we got wiser. We
Yeah.
get to do that, you know? So that's my wisdom in the most humorous way I'd like to give today.
I think it was great. I think it's a mic drop. I'm so
And when I say F Bob, I mean Fudge Bob. That's the word I'm choosing.
It's very true. It's very
Anyway.
true. And I think also, I think if I were to leave, with one last little thing, I would say don't feel you need to change your face because of what you're seeing on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. When you look in the mirror, embrace the beauty that's your own and who you are. I think, we're on the comparison merry-go-round constantly as we scroll. And I think a lot of times we end up with such a, skewed view of who we are and how we were created. And I think it's just very important to take a step back, like you said, and ask yourself, what are the reasons why I want to change how I look? And
Mhm.
how is this going to impact me? And you don't need to look like anybody else. You are you. And if you want to enhance your own beauty, you can absolutely do that. I think it's awesome. I think it's wonderful. But I think be careful that you're not trying to enhance your beauty to look like someone else.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope this episode gave you something to think about, inspired you, or made you feel a little less alone. We hope you share this with a family member or a friend because they definitely need it too.
And if you like what you heard, don't forget to follow and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen.
Let's get social. You can follow us on Instagram at callyourmom_podcast, on Facebook at callyourmompodcast, and on YouTube at Call Your Mom Podcast.
And if you're needing a little extra advice, you can always text MOM, M-O-M, to 833-569-4378. Follow the prompts, answer the questions, and then spill the tea.
And we might be answering your tea on next week's episode, so you're going to want to check it out. And remember, when life gets messy, overwhelming, or just straight up confusing, you can always
Call your mom.